Hello and welcome to the AgriHQ Livestock Insight Report update brought to you by the AgriHQ analysts. I'm Sarah Friel.
And I'm Nicola.
And we're just going to really quickly run you through last week's North Island and South Island Livestock Insight Report. Now, if you're a subscriber, you would have gotten the report last Friday and you would have seen we opened with an update from both Nicola and I on how dry the North and South Island is. We went into quite a bit of detail with rain deficits and soil moisture levels. But for the purpose of the video, we think, it's not really news to anyone how dry it is out there, and it's affecting all aspects of the market space. So we're just going to scoot along onto the cattle page. So, Nicola, what's been going on in the processing space this week?
Right, I'm going to just focus on the differences from last week, because I feel like it's like the dry weather, right? If I talk every week about how depressed the prices are, it's just depressing. So the thing that didn't change on last week was the cattle kill space is still tight, and that's not news to anyone. But the prime sale yards remain a good outlet for stock. Things are moving there, which is encouraging. And there's some upward potential in the schedules. Not entirely sure why, given our backlogs and the weights we have for cattle processing, but we're not going to question it, right?
No.
It's great. So it could be that we're riding on the North Island's coattails. There isn't that many weeks left until the dairy cow cull will end. Picking that, 31st of May is generally the cutoff for dairy farmers. So it could be that we're positioning ourselves for when there's a beef shortage. We'll see.
Yeah, quite similar in the North Island. Cows are still filling up space, but again, we're all targeting that end of May period for them to disappear. And like in the South Island, we are seeing just a touch more strength in those farmgate prices, which is in contradiction with earlier signals from processors that they were going to take quite a hard line on premiums while the cows were about. So I guess that just means, we are expecting them to finish quite quickly. And no company wants to be lagging behind anyone else when they do, and they have to get a bit more competitive. So good news for anyone killing right now. You can target those premiums a little bit more.
If you can get space.
Yes, if you can get
space.
What's
the space like in the North Island?
It's definitely a lot better than in the South Island. If anything, to be honest, from what I'm hearing, some dairy farmers are being punished a little bit of those who didn't kill gradually. Those who are just trying to get everything done in once are being faced with wait periods, but other people who are, doing it in dribs and drabs and, just getting bits and pieces away, they're getting through quite quickly. So they're kind of managing that wait period quite nicely in the North Island.
I guess we'll talk about the lambs down here. Last week was a real turning point for the lamb supply. So we were starting to see some holes in the kill for the Southland, which is kind of signaling the end of the main season, and schedules were rallying some more. There's not many ewes around to fill the gaps, so there is some anticipation there amongst traders of some really strong mutton prices. Schedules were lifting, to be sure, but in the prime sale yards there were close to $6 a kilo on offer, which we're not there yet in the general market.
Yeah, that $6 is floating around for mutton in the North Island schedules already. Just a few operators kind of flexing their muscles and looking to capture what they can, but same as the South Island, there's just not a lot of mutton around at this stage. We've still got to get scanning underway in some regions, and once that's tidied away, there will be a bigger flow. Overall, lamb supply is still quite gappy in the North Island, despite that upward track to the farm gate. So we're just going to see that in action, I suppose, while these contracts stay. They'll be kicking in about this week for some companies, and for others, they're already in action. So it's going to be a pretty positive month for farm gate prices for lambs.
The store cattle side of things, not a lot of change in the South Island. And you know what that means if you're in the South Island. But we also saw some fairly disappointing results for in-calf breeding cows. They were selling close to slaughter value for the most part. But we are coming up to a point in the season where supply will drop off for general store cattle. And I'm picking that will result in some recovery, particularly for the dairy, beef and Friesian bull offerings, which have been, they've been feeling the brunt of these depressed prices. So it'll be a few more weeks and we'll just sort of see what we end up with.
In the North Island, we did see just a touch of downside on some of those prices for R2 cattle, which have been really steady for about 8 or 10 weeks now. Those lighter R2 steers took a bit of a hit, and the bull price is set to soften a bit. Agents have been reporting for a really long time that it's just been getting stickier and stickier to make those deals. So those indications are kind of signaling that it's got to come down at some point. Bulls are really good buying now. And if you have got spare feed around and, you are a bit drier, that's not actually the worst thing to take on some bulls right now, because a drier autumn means that they can't absolutely wreck your place through winter, hopefully. And with that upward movement of the farm gate and the strength in the US markets, you might make a really good return.
Yeah, and I suppose if we've got a warmer winter as well, they do tend to grow pretty well.
Yeah,
if you get the sun on them. In the South Island store lambs, the lamb supply is unusually strong for this time of the year. There's still plenty of crossbred lambs kicking about, which is a testament to how dry it has been. We have mainly that's affecting the merino and half-bred lambs, which usually dominate the supply at this time of the year. They're having some unwelcome competition there, which is keeping their prices and keeping a lid on their prices. But we did see a touch of movement as the store lamb prices tried to follow those lifting schedules. Really just the weather at this point, keeping a lid on it.
Yeah, it's the same situation in the North Island. Given those strengthening schedules, the store market should be lifting really, but those dry conditions are just really holding people back. And some people are getting a bit nervous about committing themselves to those contracts, and they're concerned that they won't be able to make their supply commitments, is what I've been hearing. So we are seeing some heavier lambs being offloaded into the store market at this stage. Prices are fairly steady, but again, agents are reporting just a bit more touchiness in the market, a little bit harder to make those deals. Fielding had a pretty strong performance on a higher volume of lambs compared to a week ago, when everything kind of quieted down ahead of duck shooting. So there is still demand out there in areas like Manawatu, where there's still heaps of grass around, and the supply is largely coming out of those drier areas like Dannevirke and Hawke's Bay.
Alrighty, and looking to this week and the things we'll be looking at, we're quite interested to dig into the export values that came in last week. So we'll have a look at that, and we'll have a little kick around on all the regulations and sort of things that are happening in that space, and see if there's not something we can report there as well. So that'll be in your inbox on Friday if you're a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, head along to agrihq.co.nz and get yourself sorted out.